This is a world that highly values external appearances. If someone is both ugly and poor, they might not even have the privilege of leaving behind descendants. Even if someone is extremely wealthy, being extremely ugly can still prevent them from finding love. Tham Lang, the protagonist of this story, is a man who lacks not only the privilege of having descendants but also the right to have offspring in the future. Originally, he was a handsome man that everyone liked. However, due to an experimental accident involving acid, he transforms into an ugly person that everyone fears, a monster so repulsive that no one dares to look at him for a second time. It seems that no girl dares to gaze at his face for more than a second. As a result, he decides to make a noble sacrifice, using his nobility to influence others. For 20 years, he became a skilled doctor with advanced medical knowledge. He travels to the most remote and war-torn countries, performing surgeries day and night in makeshift tents. Eventually, his name becomes well known both within and outside the country, and he accumulates both fame and wealth. However, he still does not receive the respect of women. On a beautiful day, while Tham Lang was working in a makeshift tent, suddenly a rocket attacked his location. He thought to himself, sigh, finally, liberation. If I could live again, I would want a life without labor but with enough to eat and wear. Add to that a handsome face, and then make sure to use it to charm the most beautiful woman. As for this life, consider it abandoned. Boom. A deafening sound swept away everything in the old world. When Tham Lang woke up, he found himself in an ancient world. After a few seconds of shock, he determined that he had traveled through space. Tham Lang rushed to a bronze mirror, and his handsome face had been restored. Tham Lang was overjoyed. Indeed, heaven does not let down the good-hearted. The joy had not lasted long when the memories of his old self began to flood back into his consciousness. The location where Tham Lang stood was Hainvi City, Eljeong District, under the jurisdiction of the country of Vitkuk. Although they have the same appearance and name, the old Tham Lang was a useless, despicable individual with no integrity. 2 years ago, he met a young lady from the T family, named Tien. After just one meeting, he became infatuated with her. Coincidentally, at that time, Tien was suffering from a rare illness and had to marry a son-in-law to resolve the issue for her. Tham Lang promptly abandoned his family and his reputation to become a son-in-law. Unexpectedly, after marriage, Tien miraculously recovered from her illness and became increasingly beautiful. In contrast, Tham Lang became dull and faded. Over time, even the household servants did not regard him, freely insulting and humiliating the son-in-law. Fortunately, Tien was considered a kind person and issued orders to prevent further mistreatment of her son-in-law, allowing Tham Lang to restore a life of comfort and luxury. Although they had not consummated their marriage since their union, for Tham Lang, being able to be with Tien and hear her voice brought him immense happiness. However, half a month ago, Tham Lang suddenly fell seriously ill. Despite Tien seeking numerous doctors, the results were not promising. Tham Lang grew weaker each day and eventually passed away. That's how the current Tham Lang was able to take over this body. These are a few memories that have just been uploaded into Tham Lang's mind, and he is quite pleased. Indeed, it's like having a wish come true: a handsome face, a beautiful wife, 3 meals a day, and clothes to wear all day. At this moment, the sound of whispering from two maids is heard outside the door. Tham Lang walks closer to the door, eavesdropping on the two discussing his life and death, mentioning something about poison, and the burden placed on the young lady of the house. After their discussion, the 2 maids open the door to check if Tham Lang has died. However, upon entering, they see Tham Lang posing inside. These 2 immediately react as if they've encountered a ghost in broad daylight, exclaiming, "Ah, Tham, young Master Tham is alive again." After shouting, they quickly run away, leaving Tham Lang confused about what is happening. However, based on their recent conversation, he senses that it doesn't match the pleasant memories from earlier. Something about poisoning. Well, this doesn't seem good. Being a son-in-law in the T family is definitely not a favorable situation. While Tham Lang was pondering about what to do, he felt a bit uncomfortable in his head. Closing his eyes to sense, a computer appeared in his mind. Furthermore, when he opened his eyes, he could scan through the texture of the wooden cabinet in front of him. With a bit more focus, he could even see through each item inside. It turns out that the functions of an X-ray machine have been integrated into my brain since I transmigrated here. It's truly miraculous. Not only can I see through things, but this integration also helps me appraise objects, recognize faces, and especially accurately read the measurements of my wife's bust. At this moment, Thien walked in, followed by a doctor. Initially, she appeared very concerned, calling for Dr. L to come and examine Tham Lang. After a while of checking Tham Lang's pulse, Dr. L stated that Tham Lang had no illness and was in good health. This displeased Thien, but she quickly regained her composure and continued to play the role of a caring and attentive wife, inquiring about Tham Lang's well-being. However, in a moment of dissatisfaction, Tham Lang understood her thoughts and knew she wasn't a genuinely kind person. Shortly after, Thien asked Dr. L to step outside so she could talk privately with Tham Lang. In the past few days, your parents have been very worried about you. They have come here several times wanting to take you back. Even your mother has knelt in front of me, begging me to return you to her. It's truly a pity for the hearts of parents all over the world. Tham Lang only listened to a few sentences but understood that they wanted to send him away. However, being in the role of a fool, he naturally didn't grasp this subtle hint. Therefore, he just made a casual sound of acknowledgement, which infuriated Thien. At that moment, someone pushed the door open, and it was Turng Tien, the son of Turng Sung, a high-ranking official in the court. He was 24 years old, and as soon as he entered the room, he embraced Thien, kissed her cheek, and declared himself as her new fiancé. He directly expelled Tham Lang from the T family's house. It seemed that I had exhausted my usefulness in the T family. However, thinking about the possibility of hacking the game and his current appearance, Tham Lang was confident that he could find a better household to be a proper parasite. Therefore, he agreed to the annulment without any hesitation. Having achieved his goal, Turng Tien and Thien left. Turng Tien gave Tham Lang an hour to pack up his belongings and leave. One moment Tham Lang felt a bit melancholic, but the next second, he embraced life with enthusiasm. He jumped out of bed and rushed to grab the mirror for further examination. He thought to himself, Thien, do you still dare to call me useless? Tham Lang, I don't care about the T family. With my handsome face, only a truly rich young lady is my goal for parasitism. Tham Lang was adjusting his hair when suddenly he overheard some good news that Thien and Turng Tien were discussing their engagement. They mentioned the need to hold the ceremony early because the Terci family was coming to the Hanvi city to arrange the marriage, and the status of these people was noble. If they married first, their engagement would not be as prominent. Turng Tien cautioned Thien, saying this is a secret, and warned her not to disclose it to outsiders. However, Tham Lang had already heard everything. In their conversation, he caught a name mentioned, Kim McLan, the princess of Hanvi City, known for her extraordinary beauty and formidable martial arts skills. This greatly excited Tham Lang. Within 100 miles, Kim McLan was a single and powerful girl, and she became his new target. As for the debt with the T family, he was determined to settle it. The T family had a strong reputation, and just an hour later, Tham Lang was kicked out of the gate, falling to the ground. Before being expelled, the T family's steward thoroughly disgraced him in society, making him the subject of mockery among everyone, accusing him of theft, teasing the maid, and more. However, Tham Lang was unfazed, as he had anticipated such actions. He immediately took out a mirror to examine his handsome face. Once he saw that it remained intact, he sighed in relief and headed toward the house in his memories. After Tham Lang left, the head of the T family, T Kwangdan, ordered his subordinates to arrange for Tham Lang's elimination, with the aim of pleasing the new son-in-law. By nightfall, Tham Lang finally saw his village, but a group of people emerged on his path, each one large and wielding sharp swords. They bound his hands and feet and dragged him into the forest. There, they had finished digging a pit, preparing to bury Tham Lang alive. Mr. Tham, please step into the pit. After this, remember to light some incense to prevent Mr. Tham from departing in misery, one of them said. Hearing this, Tham Lang widened his eyes. In his memories, he recognized one of them in Honh, the notorious underworld boss in Hanvi City, the leader of the Black Organization, a 35-year-old who had killed 279 people. At this moment, Tham Lang used his penetrating gaze to see that an Honh had a poisonous needle on him. Seeing Tham Lang staring at him with a bizarre look, an Honh lang off the cloth covering Tham Lang's mouth to see what him wanted to express. There's a needle inside your body, and if not removed, it poses a danger to your life. Currently, the needle is in the pulmonary artery, moving with the blood flow. Once it enters your brain, you will undoubtedly die. Thumbeling's words made everyone somewhat skeptical, but Inhonh knew Thumbling was telling the truth. The only mystery was how Thumbling could know. Afterward, Thumbling stated he could remove the needle to help Inhonh, under the condition that Inhonh spared his life. However, Inhonh paid no attention to the small needle. He was determined to put Thumbling into the pit on time. Inhonh also informed Thumbling that 3 months ago, Thumbling's younger brother had borrowed 5 gold coins, and now the debt had grown to 100 gold coins. He claimed that killing Thumbling was to settle the debt for his family, not for anyone else. However, Thumbling was well aware that the T family had hired them. This made him recall the incident from 3 months ago when, as a new son-in-law, his father came to the T family to bring him home. Instead, he was expelled from the house, and Thumbling was certain that his father had been beaten and injured, forcing his younger brother to borrow money at a high interest rate for medical treatment. The more he recalled these memories, the more Thumbling resented his former self for tormenting his parents for the sake of a girl, realizing that it was not even worth a dog's behavior. At this moment, Inhonh commanded his subordinates to execute Thumbling. Due to the absence of personal grudges, Inhonh decided to let Thumbling die comfortably. He intended to kill him first before burying him, and afterward, he planned to visit Thumbling's home to deal with his parents and younger brother. The thought of the impending fate for his family intensified the bitterness and resentment within Thumbling.